Hi, hello, welcome to another video, flight sim tutorials and the like. Today's video is going to be how to handle a single engine piston failure. So flying a single engine aircraft and your piston engine goes out. And we're going to do it with the help of VATSIM. We're going to actually be doing this on VATSIM. Now hopefully they're not too busy, and if they're too busy I'll probably not do it, but I think it'll be just fine. I'm in the middle of Kansas. Kansas City Center is the only guy online. It's not going to have a lot of traffic this time of the day. In a few hours that might change, but right now it should be fine. So 125.72. So I'm going to set my frequency to 127. Now in sim world, this never happens to you because the airplanes are perfect in sim land. But if you set the failures up, you can still have it happen. So if you want to have fun, this is how you would handle a engine out scenario. Kansas City Center, Sky 358 Tango Whiskey, disconnected, back at the ramp, request taxi for departure to the south.
358 Tango Whiskey, runway 13, taxi Alpha, back taxi runway 13, cross runway 21.
13 via Alpha, back taxi 13, cross runway 21, 413 Tango Whiskey. Alright, got our taxi instruction. We're going to take taxiway Alpha. Going to take taxiway Alpha to runway 13, back taxi along runway 13, crossing runway 21 in the process for departure to the south. Doing this on VFR, no flight following, so therefore I do not need a squawk code. Did not give me a squawk code. I'll do a short field takeoff, so we'll set the flaps to 10, do a short field takeoff. If you don't know what a short field takeoff is, but you're curious, watch this. Well, you'll see it upcoming, but there's a tutorial on short field and soft field takeoffs and landings on my channel, so just go and check it out if you're interested in that. Otherwise, you're going to get an example of that on this departure. Strobe and landing lights come on, entering the active runway. So entering an active runway, anytime you enter an active runway, strobes and landing lights are to be flipped on. That's just to help aircraft see you. So we're on the active runway. We're going to back taxi along runway 13. So the plan for this is because I have the benefit of knowing that my engine's going to fail, I'm going to demonstrate knowingly the failure procedures. So the first thing we're going to do when the engine fails is we're going to make sure that our fuel and all that stuff is set as it should be, and then try to restart the engine. So we're going to check that this is set to both, our fuel selector valve is set to both, that our fuel shutoff valve is in, that our mixture, oh my god, I hate the way the game's taxi in this, aircraft taxi in this game. Shutoff valve is in, mixture is full rich, and then we're going to try and restart our engine. If that doesn't work, we're going to force our landing. The very, very first thing we're going to do actually is pitch for best glide. In a Cessna 172, it's about 68 knots. Going to use trim to help us out there. So we're going to trim for 68 knots and make our way. It's going to give us the most glide. It's going to give us our best glide distance. All right. So yeah, first thing we're going to do is pitch for best glide. It's going to be 68 knots in a Cessna 172. Going to use trim to help us out. We're going to remember three things: A, B, C, airspeed, best place to land, and communicate. So first two priorities are airspeed management, flying the aircraft, and finding the best place to land, which hopefully we'll make it back to the airport. I've set the failure up to happen pretty soon after departure. So if anything, I'll stick near the airport, near enough to glide in, but just to show you guys how it's done. Airspeed, best place to land, which might not be an airfield at all. It could very well be a big field, flat field. It's gonna have, you just got to decide with what you've got. Can't always, that's why we also consider what we're flying over when we're flying VFR, or really anytime we're flying, just in case the unthinkable happens. So pre-takeoff checklist, mixture full rich, gonna do a short field takeoff, flaps to 10. All this stuff's configured. We'll go ahead and set this to mode Charlie. Mode C is active. Okay, strobes and landing lights are on. Pre-takeoff checklist is complete. So we'll depart to the south, stick around, and then I'll show you, we'll execute an emergency landing. Kansas City Center, Skyhawk 358 Tango Whiskey, holding short 13.
358 Tango Whiskey, proceed on course, runway 13, clear for takeoff.
Proceed on course 13, clear for takeoff, 8 Tango Whiskey. All right, clear for takeoff. Pre-takeoff checklist is complete. So I'll taxi onto the runway and begin our departure to the south. Let me readjust my camera. That's better. All right, we got a runway. We have a wind coming from the left, so we got a left crosswind.
So 3751, fly heading 280.
It's going to have left aileron, brakes, 1, 2, 3, go. Right rudder, left aileron to help us stay grounded against that left crosswind, wind coming up under the left wing. As we accelerate, we're going to ease up on that aileron. Maintaining center line. We're going to rotate at 62 knots. Sorry, 55 knots. Pitch for 62. Oh. And we're going to pitch for 62 knots on our short field takeoff. All right, we'll go ahead and accelerate. Get those flaps up.
3058 Albuquerque Center is closed. Frequency change approved. Good day.
Flaps up. Flaps are up. We'll resume our climb out.
Good day, thank you.
Trim for 90 knots or so. And now we're just going to depart to the south, hang around the south practice area, just hang around the area, and then it's going to climb, climb, and climb.
18 Whiskey, frequency change approved.
Roger, we'll stay on, we're going to be out in the practice area. Okay, so because we're VFR without flight following, we can get frequency changes approved, so we don't have to stay on. That's basically what the tower would tell me if I was departing the airfield. They'd tell me, oh, frequency change approved, and I'd usually tell them, hey, we're going to be out in the practice area and come back. You know, it's, you hear, you know, listening, it's not very busy, so my hope is that he's not too upset that I try to run this little emergency. All right, a couple quick notes before we do this engine out. Number one, this is not for real-world training. Those of you guys that are in flight training, especially your primary flight training, do not consult this video for engine out procedures. Go talk to your instructor. Go practice with your instructor. That's what you need to be doing. Talk to them, not me. Number two, it's been months since I flew an actual Cessna, so if there's anything I state or do that's incorrect, please do not come into my comment section blowing me up. If you want to, have at it, but just know I haven't flown in months, all right? I know that I don't do every little thing. There's little items on the back of the checklist that I don't consider to be memory items. The primary three things is to fly the plane, get to your best place to land it, talk to ATC, you know, be safe. All right, it's just for fun. This is all for flight sim. There's no real world training value out of this. We're just doing it for fun, all right? So as long as everybody understands that, all right, we're gonna have a good time. Last note is that every little specific step that I do is specific to the Cessna 172S. If you're trying to do this in a TBM, it's gonna be a little different, especially if you're doing it for like an Airbus. So go find a checklist for those aircraft if you want. Just know that the general principles, right, of aviating and then finding the best place to land and communicating kind of applies to all aircraft, but the specific things that you do after the engine goes out in this video is specific to the 172. Okay, engine has just gone out, so the very first thing is flying the aircraft, getting the aircraft set up for best glide here, finding our best place to land simultaneously. Airport's off to my left, so I'm going to set this up for 68 knots. It's a lot of trim, a lot of nose up. A lot of nose up trim there, so airspeed's there. About 68 knots. Okay, we're going to try and get this engine restarted. I just need a little more trim there. Okay, let's make sure that everything's set up as it should be. Fuel selector both, fuel shutoff valve in, mixture full rich. All right. And we're going to try and start the engine. Engine's not going to start. Try it one more time. All right, engine's still not starting. I'm at... Got a lot of air. Okay, so the wind is out of... Wind is basically right down the runway we took off from. Our two options are going to be runway runway 030 or the runway we took off from. But all right, we couldn't get it to start, so we're going to shut off the fuel. Doesn't really matter. It's really that we need to worry about. Put this to full. Put that to a lean. Okay, so we need to maintain our descent. So we're going to maintain our descent at 68 knots. Now's a good time to check in with ATC. So center, mayday, Skyhawk 358 Tango Whiskey, engine out, no restart, 1 soul on board, 4 hours fuel, current plan, getting back to Manhattan Airport, currently passing 5,000 feet.
Air 358 Tango Whiskey, Manhattan Tower, Roger, circle over the airport as you need. If you can, you want to try for 13 or you want to just go straight in for 31 or runway 3?
I think we'd like to take the longer runway 03, if that's good.
358 Tango Whiskey, Roger. Spiral over midfield, and you can enter a straight in for runway 3. Runway 3 is clear to land.
Okay, cross midfield, then we'll do a teardrop for runway 03, clear to land, 348 Tango Whiskey. Okay, we've been cleared to cross midfield, so I'm just going to cross, because of all the altitude we have to lose, we're just now passing 4,500 feet. We're going to enter the midfield as we're doing right now, and then I'm going to make a left turn into basically 03. So now we need to just get the aircraft ready for, so I've already cut off any fuel flow to the engine, so we don't have to worry about that. Whether you want to shut off all your electrics, it's up to you. Got about 30 minutes of battery power with the master switch. The number one priority is going to be maintaining control of this aircraft. So as long as we do that, we're close enough to the runway. I'm going to keep my engine power and I'm going to keep my battery and avionics on. I'm not too worried about shutting those down. I'm not too worried about an engine fire or anything like that. Don't have the checklist with me for the other actions we'd be taking, you know, but if I were in the airplane, I would pretty much be doing exactly this. So we're just gliding here at about 68 knots, 67, 68 knots. Going to cross the midfield, take the longer of the runways. It's going to give us a little bit of a crosswind, but that's okay. We're still going to have a headwind. And speaking of that, make sure that my weather synthesis is going. Okay, cool. You can get pretty far gliding in these things, right? There's no engine power whatsoever. I've got that cut off and killed. It's just feathering, which I don't think it's supposed to be feathering. If I remember correctly, but I'm gliding at 68 knots. I'm not even really touching the control column. I'm just letting it do its thing, just keeping the wings level. Obviously, our attitude indicators failed. It's vacuum driven, and the vacuum has failed because the engine's failed, so we're not going to rely on that. So if we were in IMC, we'd be in a little more trouble than I am right now, but that's okay. We've still got about 2,000 feet to kill, so I think we're in a good spot. Just going to make that spiral over midfield. Going to keep it a little close. I don't want to get too far away from the runway. I don't have any engine power, so if we don't make it, that's my fault. But going to make the left turn into the downwind. All right. Don't want to keep it too tight because, you know, we don't want to crank and bank it. I got a little smiley face there. I'll tell you right now, I'm not smiling. I'm white knuckling this thing in reality. Okay, making that 68 knots best glide. This is a really long runway, so I'm going to go ahead and start that turn now. This is basically a power off 180 at this point. We're at traffic pattern altitude, and yeah, this is pretty much a power off 180. All right, that wind is at my tail right now, so it's going to increase my ground speed. And this is about the max that I want to bank it. Watching that airspeed. But you notice that, you know, I'm still high, so what am I going to do? I'm going to add 10 flaps because I know I've made the runway. Okay, 20 flaps because I am still high as hell. But it's a long runway, so I'm not too worried about it. And 30 flaps. So flaps are dumped. And now we're just coming in like a normal landing. I'm maintaining 65 knots because I'm completely power off. It's going to be a steeper approach than you're probably normally used to. All right, flaps are at 30. Just get my crosswind correction in here. Winds are coming from the left. And that's just exactly what you do. All right, because we have a wind coming from the left, I believe. I'm going to do my crosswind ailerons into the wind. And that's all there is to it. Now we're going to try and... Oh, I'm a dork. My winds are coming from my right. Be nice if he gave me the winds. He might have given me the winds, but I wasn't listening because I was too focused on everything else. So we're down on the ground safely. No engine fire, no issues, nothing like that. Try and taxi off the runway. Oh, there's a taxiway right there. I don't think we're going to make it. So I'm going to give this guy a little thanks for the emergency stuff and sign off. Then our thanks, 358 Tango Whiskey signing off. Thanks. All right, so disconnected. Now, before I conclude this video, I just want to say, you know, if you do go onto VATSIM to do emergencies, try to pick a low-density area. Check what kind of traffic's in the area. Don't do it in, like, JFK on a Friday night where sequencing arrivals and stuff. That will annoy them for sure. I know that for a fact. But if you're, out here in Kansas and, there's like no traffic on a Monday afternoon, hey, go for it. If you want to practice it. Me personally, I should probably, maybe not on VATSIM necessarily, but definitely offline run through this and kind of at least just get the procedures down, because in my primary training, it's one of my weaknesses, actually, emergency handling, which is probably evident here. I haven't flown in months, and the rust is definitely showing as far as the memory items. But, running through this stuff definitely could have some training benefit to me, but probably more so if I'm doing it in the actual aircraft. So regardless, though, if you want to have fun doing this stuff on VATSIM, feel free, more power to you. Just take into consideration any traffic that they're dealing with. If you enjoyed this video, be sure to like and subscribe as always, and look forward to more. Definitely making some more add-on videos, some VATSIM stuff. Haven't done any real world VATSIM. Haven't done any real VATSIM flights lately. Definitely gonna do one in the near future, but this is just something that popped into my head, So if you enjoyed this video, hit that like and subscribe button, and I hope to see you guys in the VATSIM skies. Later. Gonna climb at 62 knots. No obstructions. Flaps up. We're gonna build our airspeed up. 80 knots. Flaps up. Oh.
So 3751 flighting 190. 190, 3751. So 3751 flighting 170. Left 170.
No way. That was quick.